It's time to talk about Manchester United and Erik ten Hag and the impact that he's had. He's got 20 wins for Man United. That's the fastest that a Man United manager has reached that milestone. Last season, it took 49 games. This season, it's taken 27 games. Stephen, you look upset.
I used to love it when United were terrible. It was so much more fun, honestly, living around Manchester, just knowing that you could walk with a little bit of pride, and they would be the butt of the jokes, because I had that for so long growing up. They're good. United are a good team again. I did some content this week with a United fan, and it was before the Southampton games, and I was so much more calmer before that than I am right now. And I am, for the first time in a long time, apprehensive going into a derby, because I think they have. This is not a false storm for United. I think they have genuinely improved. I think they've got a serious manager who's signed some wonderful players, and they are improving. We don't know quite how good they are yet, because once again, there still needs to be a longer form test for them. They need to play. Even City's a good test for them right now, actually.
Yeah.
See how far they come after their run of results. This is perfectly timed for them, and I can imagine if you're a United fan and if they don't play well against City, it might be quite frustrating, because all that for nothing, if you know what I mean. But I suspect they will be better. I don't think it's going to be a 6-3. I don't think it's going to be that again. Because they have improved, and there's a real shape, and importantly, we talked about Chelsea on another episode. Chelsea lacked identity. United don't. You know what they are. You know what they're going to get from them. You know their football. And Ten Hag has just done a wonderful job so far. Annoyingly,
Did it all? A lot of the decisions seemed quite. I don't want to say obvious, but like when it comes to that impact of Ten Hag, how much of that is the sort of changing in the structure around him, and how much do you think it truly is him setting standards and getting the best out of this team? Because one thing I think you have to say is that the transfers were ones that we did a lot of content during the summer about Man United, and it was a farce, wasn't it? It was an absolute farce in terms of some of the players that they were being linked with. The whole Ronaldo saga as well, which needed to be played out and certainly got played out. and actually, Man United, in terms of a club that's lacked a bit of respectability, is it as simple as that when it comes to Ten Hag? Is that he's brought a sense of kind of value and values to Man United in this first 27 games?
I think what you've seen from what a lot of people have said as well around Manchester United, and players have said it as well. I think Luke Shaw said after a game that there's a new discipline here.
Yeah.
And I think that probably tells you if like one of your key players...
So it's Luke Shaw, isn't it?
Yeah, he just needs to stay away from cameras sometimes.
Yeah.
But I feel there's certain things that like a club like Manchester United who want to compete for titles, etc., that you cannot excuse. And I think like the bottom line of that is like discipline and philosophy, and I think they haven't had either of those. This guy brings both. So I think they've always had good players. If you look at this team, people are now going, oh man, like they still need this and they still need that. But if you look at this 11 or 16 squad wise, depth wise, they've got as good depth as probably anyone bar City. So then you go, oh, actually, they're actually all right now. All of a sudden, like, Rashford's a great footballer and Casemiro's good.
The hypocrisy of a Rashford is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Like, there's a life lesson there for a lot of people that would just say, like, this word washed. Like, in saying someone's washed and he's 24 years old, it's like, calm down. He obviously wasn't. He was just in a bad place. And he has come back fantastically. But a big thing, I think, with Ten Hag as well is, you spoke about identity there. Last year, again, all these things come around in cycles. I think I was guilty of it. I think pretty much most content creators or pundits were all talking about Ragnick. Okay, he's got a way of playing. We know exactly what we're going to do here. And it was wrong, wasn't it? He had players that didn't fit that system. Yeah. He turned away from that pretty quickly. He didn't have the soft skills to sort of get the best out of those players. And you saw them all fall off a cliff in terms of form and body language. With Erik ten Hag, it's like it feels like it's simple changes here. Bring in a leader like Casemiro, bring in a smart player like Eriksen. Let Fernandes have that little bit of value. Play Rashford on the left where he's class.
It's sensible. That's bugging me. United haven't been a sensible side for a long time. They've been very unserious, to be honest. They've made silly decisions, and they bought flavour of the month players, and they've spent an awful lot of money, and it's been a waste. But United right now, they look well run, and that takes some doing given the Glazers and so on, and that's a lot. It's down to Ten Hag. It's square pegs in square holes, and the players who have talent being encouraged to showcase what they've got, like Rashford, for example, who's always been a very talented footballer, who was clearly just in a bad place physically and probably mentally as well, and that is that's the most frustrating thing for me as a City fan, is they have got themselves together. They pulled themselves together, and And you can tell that the players know it as well. Luke Shaw, once again, it's always them, but they know that what they are going to be, and there's a real strength in familiarity, and knowing what you're going to do every single week. And you get the impression that United these days, they know how they're going to play. They know who more or less their best 11 is, and to that, obviously, the end product is the results right now. And I don't really see any reason why that would fall apart drastically either, which pains me to say it, but they might not win the league or anything like that, but they are going in the right direction, and I think it's probably going to carry on. What
I will say is, a lot of other things have happened at the exact right time. Players have not picked up injuries. Varane's been fine. Shaw's fine, who's obviously really important to United. Rashford was obviously injured for a while under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and played through injuries. He's now come at the end of that period, and it's no coincidence now that he's sort of putting up the numbers that he is. 0.67 goal contributions per 90. He's the most informed player since the World Cup. There's just a lot of things that have kind of worked out quite nicely, and then on top of that, you put in some good transfers, and suddenly, what do you know? Like, things are working. My big question is...
Reminds me of Liverpool, by the way, because that happened for a while. You didn't get any injuries in your team for a long time. The transfers are all working. That's what worries me. When it works, it works. And
when it starts to gel together, then you can go, the manager's doing the right thing, etc., etc. My only thing is, though, when I look at the fixtures, and United fans are not going to enjoy this, but United, bar maybe Chelsea, who are also in transition... Since that City 6-3 loss, they've played Bournemouth, Wolves, Forest, Fulham, Villa, West Ham, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle they drew with, and Everton. So if you look at those fixtures, Newcastle and Chelsea are probably the two toughest fixtures in there. They drew both. They didn't actually win either of them games. And I know people are going to go, but the Premier League's difficult. There was a tweet going around recently, people saying this is the most competitive league that they've seen ever. I think the league is actually really weak right now, which is why you see... Yeah, I think the league's probably like at a level where loads of teams are equally as decent, but I don't think there's any outstanding teams. So I think they've got two acid tests now against City and Arsenal, but even City come into this in not great form. We were talking off air saying City haven't been great this season and Arsenal have been phenomenal. That's the test. But they beat Arsenal earlier this season. So you're kind of like, well, they were sort of terrible when they beat Arsenal earlier this season. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they're really good? They were really good then, and it was going to happen? I don't know.
So you wonder if they're running a little bit hot, essentially.
I was chatting to a United fan the other day, and he said the only thing is they feel like they are coming to the end of this run because their performances, they've been a bit more grindy. Like they've been getting the results as opposed to being scintillating on the pitch. And the United fan I was chatting to over on Stephen Paddock was saying that they're a bit concerned about the timing of this game for them. And the City haven't been great, obviously the loss of the Carabao Cup Southampton was a bit of a low point for the season. So the timing of their form, and City maybe having a low, it could be that this game could be what City needs to get going, and it could be that the timing of their form's dipped a bit as well. But ultimately, I can't believe I'm defending United here, but they can only really beat what's in front of them, and ultimately, if you beat the teams below you in the table, you're going to be above them in the table.
And I think sometimes you do need that little bit of luck with all these things, because playing teams at the right time. So say they play Arsenal next week and they've lost to Spurs the week before, and they're starting to wobble a little bit. You play Man City after a defeat, they're starting to wobble a bit. All these things can sometimes come together and make life a little bit easier. In terms of the cup competitions, then. Man United are in a good place when it obviously comes to the semi-finals of the League Cup. And I think importantly, maybe something, when I look at Ten Hag, I wonder how much he takes from Guardiola and the strength of the teams that he's put forward in the League Cup and in the FA Cup, which are areas where often you can drop a few players. He's gone very, very strong in both. And so, again, I think a lot of this is about mentality. And he wants to win a cup this year. Do you think they'll get the League Cup? They've got to be favourites for it now.
I think they are favourites. I think when the draw came out and they got Charlton, I think there was 8 Premier League teams and they got the one team that's not in the Premier League. They would have gone Lux in, and then they get Forest, and the second leg's at home, which is out of Southampton, Newcastle and Forest. You want Forest. No disrespect, Forest fans were fuming when I tweeted that. And then I think he's probably, as you said, rightly so, I think he's going, we just have to keep winning. So we're going to go strong against Charlton, because we beat Charlton 3-0. Fans at home get some clips. Rashford gets a couple of goals. The form keeps ticking along. You go and you kind of win that game 1-0. People go, they're not quite at it. And I think he's just going, momentum is the name of the game right now. And I think he'll say, I think he'll say before the City game, don't lose against Arsenal. Say, don't lose. And then he'll go, Then we'll beat Forest, Reading, Forest again, Palace, Leeds. Then we play Barcelona. If we can get past Barcelona in the Europa League, people are now going, these lot are serious. And I think he's just playing a very simple game of football management.
Keep winning.
Just keep winning. And if you don't win, make sure you don't lose.
Pep always does that. Pep tries to win everything. And I know that we've got the squad for it. We have done. We're very lucky that way. But I do really believe it's quite simple football. Winning breeds winning. It just does. That taste of success from the Carabao in late February, early March, it's wonderful. Like, I, as a fan, going to Wembley to watch your team win a trophy, I love it. I love the timing of it, because then you win a trophy and the players have got that buzz and that thrill, and you get that taste of the success. You know, then you go into April and May when the real heavy months kick in, and that's a driver. It is, and I don't think it's a coincidence that City have been so good in the league, but they've been winning the Carabao Cup as well. I think it does help the squad. You have that moment together, and United right now, they need that moment, and I think it would be equally galvanising for them as it would be Newcastle. So both of those teams, in my opinion, need that trophy, because I think it'd be massive for them. So,
you know what's interesting about this mentality of playing your proper team? I think Klopp has switched onto that this season, because last year Liverpool went on the Carabao Cup and suddenly he was like, wait, hold on a minute. Like we think we can win. Yeah, he was like, we can win everything. Prior to that, he was rotating his team every single cup. Yeah. People were saying he was rolling over in the cup so he could focus on the league. So I think this season you've seen that he's gone strong in cup competition, because he's now also gone, actually, if we win cup games, what do you know? Momentum carries on, and you feel good after winning something.
Well, that's it. I think it was almost as well the bizarre thing in modern football of the relief of we've got one.
Yeah,
we've got one of the trophies, so we can now just go and look to achieve. Guys, let's know, will Man United win a cup competition this season? And also, have they been a little bit lucky on this run up to date? Let us know in the comments below.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.